Pterodactyl here, and today we're going to go over everybody's test results from the quiz that we gave about your small engines. Do you really know your small engines? So gather around, class. Come on, class is in session. Come on. Gather around, quit messing around, quit shooting at spitballs. You in the back, quit picking your nose and wiping it under the desk. Come on, I need your attention here. We're going to go over the papers. Come on. All right. We got everybody? Everybody's here? Okay. Class is now in session. Let's go over the questions and then the answers. Question 1. What are the 3 main things you need for an engine to run? The 3 main things for an internal combustion engine to run. The 3 things you have to have. You have to have fuel. You have to have spark, which is ignition, and you have to have compression. You got to have those 3 things, got to be present for it to run. You got to have those. All right, class? I know there was some discussion. Oh, you got to have timing. You got to have timing too. That's part of the engine, but you still have to have those 3 things. If it still doesn't run, that's when you check the timing and other factors that could affect it. But you got to have those 3. Those are the 3 basics. All right? We got that clear now, class? I know you're mad, Johnny, in the second row, because you thought there were 4 with timing, but you're kind of right. Okay, number 2. The customer hit something with their rotary mower, their push mower, and now it's jerking the rope out of their hand. You're trying to start it. Why is it doing that after they hit something? They sheared the flywheel key. It threw the timing off. See how that comes into play with question 1? They have spark, you got fuel, you got compression, but it still won't start because the timing's off. They hit something. Those engines are designed to do that. Shear the key, it's like a built-in safety. So that's what happens. Even though sometimes you hit stuff and it'll still run. It'll just shake, dance all over the floor. But most of the time it shears the key. All right. Question number 3. True or false? Does a 3-post solenoid need to be grounded to work? The answer is true. It has to be grounded. The case of a 3-post solenoid is the ground. If you just hook up 3 of the wires and let it dangle, it's not going to work. Got to have ground. The 4-post solenoid, one of the posts on there is the ground. One of the little small wires is the ground. That solenoid you could let dangle as long as you got all 4 wires hooked to it. It'll crank the motor over because one of those wires, small wires, going to the solenoid is the ground. The other one is the trigger wire. That comes from the key switch. That sends the 12 volts to it. But a 3-post solenoid, that's the one with 3 connections, it's got to be grounded. Okay. Question number 4. What is the most common gap setting on a spark plug for a small engine? The most common, 30 thousandths, is the most common setting. 30 thousandths. If you set it at 30, you should be okay. I know some engines, they require a little bit larger, 35 to 40, but 30 thousandths is the main gap, is a pretty standardized gap. Okay, number 4. Number 5. Why don't snow blowers have air filters on them? Because they run in clean conditions. They're running in cold, snowy weather. You're not kicking up any dust or dirt. You're not got lawnmower blades running where you're kicking up all kinds of dust and dirt. That's why they don't have air filters. They don't need them. It's running in clean conditions. They're not running in dirty conditions. Number 6. Multiple choice. How do you determine the model year of a brakes and scrap 'em engine? How do you know what year it was made? You had, what was it? 4 choices. The model, the type, the code, or a tag with the year on it. It's the code. That's called the code date. The first two digits of the code are the year. So if it said 81, that would be a 1981. If it said 06, that would be a 2006. If it said 13, that'd be a 2013. So on and so forth. Okay, that was number 6. Number 7. What are the 3 things you need to know in order to determine your correct chainsaw chain? What are the 3 things? Okay, the first thing you need to know is the pitch of the chain. Is it a 3/8 pitch? Is it 1/4 inch pitch? Is it 3/25 pitch? You need to know what pitch of chain it is. That's very important. The second thing, you need to know the guide thickness. That's the thickness in the groove of the chainsaw bar. There's different thicknesses. There's 43 thousandths, there's 50 thousandths, there's 58 thousandths, there's 63 thousandths. If you have a chainsaw chain that's 63 thousandths and you're trying to put it in a guide bar that's 50 thousandths, it's not going to fit in that groove because it's got the wrong thickness. All right? You got to know that. And the third thing you need to know is the drive link count. That's the little thing that hangs at the bottom of the chain. That's the drive link. That's the one that's being driven by the chain. You need to know how many of them there are because manufacturers use different ones. A 20-inch Stilch chain will 325 pitch will have 81 drive links, where an Echo 20-inch will have 80 drive links. And a lot of times that Stilch chain will be 63 thousandths and that Echo chain will be 50 thousandths, the thickness. So you need to know those 3 things. And then there's a couple other things that come into play, which would be, let me see, the anti-kickback devices on it and what type of chain it is. Is it a chisel chain, a semi-chisel? Is it there's different, those are features. Those are different features of the chain. But the 3 main things you need to know is the pitch, the thickness, and the drive link count. All right, that was number 7. Number 8. What is the most common valve lash or valve clearance on an exhaust, intake and exhaust on a Takumish L head or flathead engine? What is the valve clearance? Now here's an old manual from '79. This is back when all the engines were flatheads back then for Takumish. I think they had one overhead valve engine back then. And there's the valve clearance. And here's all the different reference columns here. Valve clearance, 10 thousandths both, all the way across the board. 10 thousandths. Intake and exhaust. And look, right above it, spark plug gap, 30 thousandths, all across the board for Takumish. But the question was, on the old flatheads, 10 thousandths. Now brakes and scrap them, generally 6 and 10. 6 on the intake, 10 on the exhaust. Want a little bit closer on the intake because the intake doesn't get as hot. They want more clearance on the exhaust because of heat. When things heat up, they expand. When they expand, then you're going to lose clearance. Got that clearance? You lose clearance, Clarence. Okay. That was number 8. Number 9, true or false? When replacing the T-box on a Dixie chopper, does it matter which way you put the T-box in order for it to drive in forward and reverse? Does it matter? True or false? True. It does matter. And I'll explain it to you right here. Here's the T-box. Here's the T-box. This pulley drives it off the engine. The engine's spinning one way. There's a gear in here. If you have this gear in the wrong spot, if you have it here, look, it's spinning the opposite way. If I turn it this way, it's spinning this way. So what happens is, if you install it wrong, it's going to spin the pumps backwards. And they won't work when you spin them backwards. They only work when you spin them the proper way. So that's why it's important. So when you're working on a Dixie chopper, you're replacing this T-box, first thing you need to do is pull that cover off, see which side that gear is on, and make sure you put that box in the back in the same way. If you put it in backwards and it don't work, you're going to have to take it all back apart and spin it around. But that's what happens. See, the gear's on that side. I'm spinning this thing counterclockwise, and this thing is going counterclockwise. I spin it this way counterclockwise. Now it's going clockwise. Very important. So it does matter which way you put that T-box in. Number 9, that's what that was. And number 10, multiple choice. Who was the very first villain that Blade Man and Throttle had to foil? Who we were up against. Who we had to get rid of, Blade Man and Throttle. Who did they get rid of? Who was it? It was the Choker! He was the first villain, Grass Rats, the Choker. You know, the choke symbol, fast and slow and choke. The Choker, not the choker or choker chain. He's the Choker. All right, 10 new questions, Grass Rats. We got 10 new questions for you. Okay, Grass Rats, 10 new questions. Question number 1. What is the most common air gap setting on a small engine coil? What is the air gap? That's the little gap between the coil and the flywheel. What is the most common setting? Come on, write down your answers. Question number 2, Grass Rats. When tipping a push mower on its side, which is the way you should tip it with the air filter? Should the air filter be facing up when you tip it on its side, or down? Air filter up or air filter down? Which one is it, Grass Rats? On most common push mowers. Question number 3, Grass Rats. When you're attempting to level the deck on your lawnmower and you have it sitting on a level surface, whether it be a riding mower or a zero-turn mower, what is the first thing you need to check? You got that? When you're attempting to level the deck, to check your deck to see if it's level, and you have it on a level surface, whether it's a riding mower or a zero-turn, what is the first thing you need to check before you start your leveling process? Question number 4, Grass Rats. True or false? On these old brakes and scrap 'em flathead engines that got points and condenser, can you convert them to electronic ignition? True or false? Is that possible? Question number 5, Grass Rats. The heat that reaches the cooling fins on a small engine is carried away mainly by A, convection, B, conduction, C, radiation, or D, absorption. Heat that reaches the cooling fins. How is it carried away? A, convection, B, conduction, C, radiation, or D, absorption? You got 1 minute. Question number 6. When referring to motor oil, what does SAE stand for? What does that stand for? SAE. Should be an easy one, Grass Rats. Don't blow it. Question number 7, Grass Rats. What very hard material are breaker points made of? What's this hard material on the contacts here? What is that material? What is it made of? It's very hard. Come on, you know it. Don't be Googling it either. Question number 8. It's on carburetors. What are the 3 basic types of carburetors based on direction of airflow? 3 basic carburetors based on direction of airflow. What are they? What are they? Tell me. Inquiring minds want to know. Question number 9. What are the 4 strokes in order for a 4-cycle engine? What are the 4 strokes? Name them. There's 4 of them. In order of a 4-cycle engine. Come on. 30 seconds. Go. Question 10, grass rats. And this has to do with a Taryl skit. Now remember when Uncle Andy opened a sports memorabilia store in my home called Double Play? And I caught him. And he wanted to pay me rent. And for a kicker, he wanted to throw in a collectible sports card, which we still do give away in orders. And maybe some of you grass rats have got them in orders. And they're all signed by Uncle Andy, not the actual sports star. So he wanted to give me a sports memorabilia card. Do you remember which card it was he gave me? This is multiple choice. Was it A, Walter Payton, Sweetness? Was it B, Brian the Boz Bosworth? Was it C, Broadway Joe Namath? Or was it D, the captain, Derek Jeter? Which one was it, grass rats? Pencils down, grass rats. The test is over. Now, you need to tune in next time when we do another 10 questions, and then we'll give you the answer to these 10 questions. So make sure you put your answers in below there in the comment section, because I'm going to be grading you, and we're going to see how much you really know about small engines and Taryl Fixes All. And as always, there's your dinner. Woo! Class is over! Okay, go to recess. Don't be pushing anybody on the merry-go-round.